So what's kind of your philosophy? Where do you find good people? What do you look for? Talk me through your systems a little bit.
So hiring people, my philosophy is really big. I have guys who've been with me for 25 plus years, cleaning carpet or doing air duct cleaning, and they just stay. And people are like, how do you get them to stay? And I'm like, you love them. Like, you respect them, you love them, and you hire people who are loyal, have good trade ethics and things like that. And so
tell me a little bit about what was your kind of your first foray into the trades. What brought you to the trades? What got you to found System Clean more than 25 years ago? I don't know how old, but it's been a business for a long time. Walk me through that.
I was a janitor with a local janitorial firm, and I started looking at what teachers get paid, and I was like, oh my gosh. I had 3 kids and was working full-time, going to school full-time, and managing all these janitors. And my twin brother calls me up, and it was the time when you had pagers. So this is 35 years ago. And he goes, hey, give me a call, have an idea. He was doing low voltage electrical for another company. He goes, let's start a low voltage electrical company. We had no money. We grew up in a trailer park, so we're just broke.
All right, welcome to the Superpro podcast, where we hear the founding stories and key strategies for success of the most amazing home service companies from the company founders themselves. Today, I'm super excited. We got Kent on the show. Before we talk about Kent too much, I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm the co-founder of Housecall Pro and founder of Superpro program and all kinds of fun stuff. But I'm on the same mission I've been on for the last 13 years, championing the pro in everything that I do and championing them to success. So today, we've got Kent Mortensen. He's the owner and founder of System Clean Restoration, Inc. He's also got a couple other businesses doing tens of millions of dollars. But his restoration cleaning business is based out of Meridian, Idaho. He's looking to hit $5 million in 2025 with about 18 vehicles, around 40 employees out there. He's also one of our business coaches at Housecall Pro. So super fun. He's a super pro, a coach. He's a champion of the trades. He's a supporter. He's a teacher of the next generation tradesmen and women. This is going to be a great show, Kent. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what was your kind of your first foray into the trades? What brought you to the trades? What got you to found System Clean more than 25 years ago? I don't know how old, but it's been a business for a long time. Walk me through that.
Well, I was going to school to be a teacher, English as a second language, and was going to Boise State. Had gone to a junior college over in Sheridan, Wyoming, as a kid, and they were saying that I would be a great teacher because I could interact and stuff. And I get in and go all the way through at Boise State, transfer over to Boise State, and I was a janitor with a local janitorial firm, and I started looking at what teachers get paid, and I was like, oh my gosh. I had 3 kids and was working full-time, going to school full-time, and managing all these janitors. And my twin brother calls me up, and it was the time when you had pagers. So this is 35 years ago. And he goes, hey, give me a call, have an idea. He was doing low voltage electrical for another company. He goes, let's start a low voltage electrical company. We had no money. We grew up in a trailer park, so we're just broke. And so I was trying to do this teacher thing. I was on Pell Grant, the whole nine. And he says, let's start a flood restoration company or a janitorial firm. And I was like, I don't want to be the janitor. And I just given him a story about how I was short on employees. You're always short on employees. And the manager came in and he saw me scrubbing in this toilet. And he's like, I do not want to see a-holes and elbows from a manager. And I was like, oh, like, what does that mean? And he goes, you were supposed to be in the executive office pulling the trash, and it was for Morrison Knudsen was a timed deal where you had to be there to pick up the trash. And so I had to go in the next day, and I saw him in his office, and he's, suit and tie, multi-billions. They were doing big projects over in Saudi Arabia at the time. And I'm like, I'm just here to get the trash. And he didn't not even look at me. At that point, I was like, man, the CEO is not any more important than the janitor. In my mind, I was like, they're the same. So I walked over, got the trash. He didn't notice me, and he kind of flushed me away. And then, so I got the trash. Ended up deciding at that point that a starting wage of $20,000 a year to teach the next generation was not going to work for my wife and I. And so I went into, the trades, started doing a little small janitorial business. But prior to that, my brother and I had already owned a pet store as kids. And so we were just consummate entrepreneurs. And so, yeah.
It's just a part of the journey. You're like, all right, well, go find a problem and deliver a solution and, build a scalable business. So this is back in the 1990s, early 1990s. You've seen a huge transformation just in technology itself, but beyond that, I mean, finding good people is something that's always been something for any small business owner. Probably the most difficult thing of all the things is convincing another human to join you on your mission. So, what's kind of your philosophy? Where do you find good people? What do you look for? Talk me through your systems a little bit. What kind of advice would you give to someone that's, maybe just getting started, maybe just hired a handful of people, but it's not always easy? What kind of advice do you have?
Well, culture's huge and people are huge. I used to think I didn't like people because I just didn't like the fight, and when you grow up and you're poor, you're kind of looked down upon and stuff. And so I was like, I kind of hate people. But then I changed it to I hate stupid people. But it really wasn't any of that because I really liked people. But my grandfather would come home from the gas plant smelling like gas, kind of black. And so we knew working in the oil fields in Wyoming that we were going to be tradespeople. That's just what we were going to be. And I thought being a teacher would be a step up. The income was not a step up, even then. And so hiring people, my philosophy is really big. I have guys who've been with me for 25 plus years, cleaning cars or doing air duct cleaning, and they just stay. And people are like, "How do you get them to stay?" And I'm like, "You love them, like you respect them, you love them, and you hire people who are loyal, have good trade ethics, and things like that." And so when we
how do you suss out loyalty? Like, how do you meet someone and during an interview? Because everyone seems loyal, in that first interview.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have a question? Do you have some sort of wicked 10th sense, that you use? Like, what advice do you have for that?
Well, one of the things that I like to ask, there's always that corporate America, hey, tell me something that you do or that makes you different, or put yourself in a hard situation. I think all of that stuff kind of becomes canned. I really am honest right in the beginning. Let them know that it's going to be hard. We're looking for people who want to stick around, and let them know really right up front that we care about people. Families are first for us. We know that they're going to have things that come up, and we just let them know our philosophy right off the bat. So we tell them that, hey, if you're stealing time, you're stealing from your co-employees. We'll let them know we work together as a team. I don't even put owner on my business card. I'll go out. I'll work with the guys. I'll do whatever. They know I'll be there. And even after, like, I try not to say it, but I'm worth more than most. Well over 7 figures. So, but I don't feel that. I don't work for dollars. I work for outcomes, and I work for people. And so we get them to do the same, like to treat others the way they want to be treated. And you can kind of get a feel. And we drug test, like immediately we drug test. And so I know marijuana is a big thing where people are okay with it now, but we still are kind of like, you got to make sure that there are casual users. I'm not going to say there aren't. But for the most part, we want people that we ask them, what's your family like? What's your family life like? And so we use DISC, which is the like assessment of personalities and things like that. So we want conscientious people. And so we usually ask them, what do you do with your wife? What do you do with your kids? What happens if your wife calls and she needs you to come home? If they're like, I don't even talk to her, we're like, probably not telling the truth, or probably not the kind of person we want to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, those subtle types of questions and things like that, help you understand more about the individual that you're looking to hire, and are a really good telltale beyond just the canned corporate answers. Describe a hard situation right now, how you solved it. Those ones can be easily practiced. But I think, at the end of the day, most people, that are looking to build what? Uh-oh, is it pausing?
No.
I can still hear you.
Well, I am definitely not hearing any of the questions. So uh,
Uh-oh, hold on.
maybe I want to tell my origin story real quick. Hopefully that's
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
since
Let's do that.
I can't hear you.
Let's do that.
What I was thinking about is my twin brother and we have a little redheaded brother. Call him the ugly stepchild or whatever, even though he's not. And we're Danish of descent and part Mexican, so we call ourselves Dexicans. And my grandfather was born in Mexico as Danish descent. And we were poor, and we lived in a mobile home park. And we were always trying to figure out a little side hack, lemonade stands, this, that, and the other. At about 11 years old, we found a kiddie pool that was from Kmart back then, not Walmart. And those kiddie pools were used pretty much in the trailer parks for the kids in the summer. We decided to go and detach the side panel of a mobile home, because we were pretty industrious kids, and hook up a garden hose and get hot water. There you are, you're back. Hot water from the mobile home and flow it into a kiddie pool and create a spa. And we had a tadpole pond that was behind the mobile home park. And so we came up with a 25-cent entry fee to get into this spa. And you would come and sit in the hot water, which became a mud pool because kids were dirty. And so we'd give them 2 tadpoles if they give us 25 cents. And they just sit in the hot water. If they gave us 2 dimes and a nickel, we would only let them have 1 tadpole, because we're like, we got to count the change. That's going to take more. And we had all of the moms were waitresses or servers. And so we go, just go over to your mom's change jar and get that change, but get a quarter, because then we'll give you 2 tadpoles instead of just 1. And so that's really what started our entrepreneurial journey.
That's a great just tale of straight up entrepreneurialism, being super young and kind of coming up with that. I love hearing those. What as you're coaching others at Housecall Pro, what do you think is probably the most important thing that smaller business owners should focus on first when it comes to scaling out their teams and building out the company? What's something that you've learned either in your own career or you see so often now talking to other entrepreneurs that would be helpful?
Yeah, this has been an incredible journey for me. I was trying to sell my business, and there's all these succession plans now with everybody's trying to. The boomers are trying to sell their businesses to their kids. I'm in 1969, so I'm not quite a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, but I'm close enough. And I have 2 sons, and I thought for sure they'll take over the businesses. And we started to hate each other. Bottom line, they're like, we can't do it the way you do it. 12, 15, 16 hours a day and weekends too. And I'm like, well, the sides of the truck say 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's our business. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, I just want to only do the air duct cleaning, or I only want to do this. And we need to automate. And I'm like, just put it in the book. It's fine. And so the thing I learned in Housecall, so my sons, we went through multiple SaaS companies, and we're like the big guy, the Titan, guy, and then ones that are similar, and the Aubers, or whatever they are. And we found that none of them really fit flood restoration, or some of them pretty good for our pressure washing side or the cleaning side, things like that. But I realized I got to go in and I had to learn the business again. And that was really hard for me, because I had been about 5 years where I was kind of just like, I had a pumpkin patch for 4 years. and I was doing this straw maze and servicing 7,000 kids for field trips in the summer and blah 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 blah. And that's what I wanted to do. Drive an old antique tractor. And they're like, if you're going to sell this business to us, you got to buy your business back, Dad. And I'm like, what? And then they offered me a really low price, of course, because they lived in it. And I told them, never get in the service industry. Don't do it. And they're like, but there's so much consistent money in it. And so we started implementing automations, and holy crap, we were like, Housecall's got it, but for scheduling, things like that, we were doing stuff through our tablets. So we selected Housecall for multiple of our businesses and found that through the automation process that there was so many things that people want. They don't want to be talked to. They want to be notified, the on my way text or whatever. We would get locked out. The notification would get locked out of houses, and that was costing us money. The GPS was not ever in place, and we were using my fleet service, and so we're paying like $1,000 a month to track these vehicles. And I was like, gosh, there's got to be an easier way. And with Housecall, we can just track them on the tablet. And so really understanding your expenses, I realized I had forgotten that. Like I knew my business, but I had forgotten I needed to be profitable. And we were profitable enough, but they were like we're going to now have multiple families involved in this. And so I had to automate, learn with them. And I found that most companies don't have great customer service. And as a matter of fact, you text me about 3 years ago or more, maybe it was 4, and said, how's the product? And so when the owner of the company could go, how's the product? That's how I had you in my cell phone. And I was like, this is crazy. So like, you care enough.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really awesome to be able to do that. And I just saw that. And so I was like, I had to automate. My sons now have started their own service businesses. One's a light trash removal, and one's another type of a service business. But they didn't stay with me. And so within the coaching, I realized you've got these new people coming in because they're not going to college. And you've got people who are trying to buy their parents' businesses or other businesses. And I'm like, oh, there's such a value to the coach. But more importantly, the most important thing is understanding your business, understanding your customer. And if you can't enter a job, that none of the other works. It doesn't matter how much marketing you understand or anything. So Housecall's got a pretty good support network. And so that's been really cool.
Yeah, and I think it when we take a look at our business
background.
Yeah, you know what? Let me try this. Hold on. There we go. A little better?
Yeah. I was like,
a little better?
That was crazy. Yeah. I was like, hey, we got a guy mowing in the background.
I know. It's part of the effects here. Hey, yeah, I think, at Housecall Pro, our mission is to champion our pros to success. And so it's more than just software. We quickly realized that a lot of business owners like you, they really needed to understand all the pieces of their business that, they might be great tradesmen and women and really good at what they do, with their hands day in, day out, managing people, hiring people, all those things. But when it comes to even yourself, you mentioned it, profitable. Well, a lot of pros are like, oh, I was profitable enough. I never really thought about it. But when you really want to understand the business and you want to go sell it or, give it to your kids or whatever it happens to be, it starts to really matter when you're trying to figure out, okay, is this business worth doing? Is it worth selling? What would I get for it? How does it actually operate? Because you're right. Like these businesses are always going to have a lot of business. It's really tough for homeowners to find good service businesses. And so I would just say that like you have to be able to not just take the work that comes your way, because there's going to be plenty of it if you're good, but be able to manage the business as well.
I think when you go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because there's like a little bit of lag here. What would you say when it came to kind of selecting a software? What were you looking at? What was kind of the most important thing for you? What problem were you really looking to solve? When you were out there looking at and demoing other softwares, what was kind of your thought process there? Because I think a lot of pros are kind of going through that, or they're reevaluating it every year. What are things that you were thinking about?
Well, online payment was huge, or a way to take the payment through the software, which we never had that. We were using a product that we started with called Camelot. I think it's still around. It was a great scheduling program, but we couldn't really integrate the customer into it, really. It was just basically taking your black paper book and putting it into a slip and printing it off. So we really wanted automations where you could go out into the field, and Housecall nailed it on that. And so we were like, how do we get, when we're looking for something, how do we get something that is in the field and you can do it on your phone? Because I'm in the field. I'll get on my laptop and I have a Wi-Fi connection and stuff, and I can do Housecall. It's freaking crazy. I can even do a coach call if I absolutely need to in my vehicle. I have my background. It says Housecall Pro Coaching or whatever. But how far it's come and how far it's changed. It's like, I think about it, and I heard you were in the service industry, and but I think you might be one of those individuals where you're like so good, you're just like thinking about, oh, how do I solve the problem? And so that was really for us. It's like, how do we give a better service to our client, because they want an invoice quick, they want to know what the charge. Our technicians would be calling back and forth. Hey, she's got 4 bedrooms and one of them's dirty, this, that, and the other. And you could use price books this way. And so as Housecall's developed, we just found that, man, there are so many things that it's starting to offer. And then I cheated a little. I went and looked at some of the others again. I was like, let's see how they're doing. And so value is really important, because profitability, once you start looking at those charts, and Housecall has some weaknesses. It really does, in the accounting processes, in the integrations from QuickBooks, things like that. It's still not quite there. And some of those other programs maybe don't want you to be able to do accounting in Housecall Pro, but now you've got payroll. I mean, we're looking at that, moving over from ADP. So there's just so many things that we look at, but primarily it was customer experience and employee experience. Because if the employees are hating it, they won't do it. And so if it's hard for them to get a ticket to the customer, they're not going to want to do it. And so we put air conditioning in our service vehicles. That's exactly why we implemented Housecall Pro, because we're like, we want something that makes it so we're a little cooler, so that when they tell their wives, and the service industry is getting a little more sexy. Women like guys that have jobs and aren't just playing video games or whatever, and are willing to work. And anything with the lady pros, you guys have that. That actually really excited me when I saw that come across, because we had gals that were in the service industry as maids or even carpet cleaners. Now some doing sheetrock, and I'm like, this is a solid thing. We're not, if you're not using AI. AI is not going to replace a service person, but the service businesses that are using AI are going to replace the service businesses that aren't. And so you've got to have something like this, and we love it. And I don't know how I ended up in the coaching, because I was like, I don't have time, but they're like, would you like to coach? And I was like, I don't know, but I do want to help people, so let me check it out. And so I went through the coaching program. It ended up being a really awesome experience. There's 4 or 5 guys that are really close to me still. And I can talk to service people. Like I had already done guest speaking appearances where I'm get up on the stage and I'm nervous. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to these apartment managers and they're in the suits or property owners, but I need their work. And they want to know I'm a pro. And I can say, hey, we use automation. We have moisture mapping. We have this. We have that. It just made us look like one level above. And so I think we're going to see a mass movement towards the service industry, and people do need services.
Yeah, the services are never going to go away. And I think, like you said, as you're looking around at different systems and all this kind of stuff, finding the way to automate away, but not just from that perspective, delivering a really good homeowner experience and delivering a really good technician experience. Because at the end of the day, if the technicians are happy, they're delivering a good customer experience. If the customers are getting a good experience, they're going to refer you back out. And so that loop starts all over again. And so I think the way that you're looking at it is very interesting, because a lot of owners will be looking at software like, what reports can I pull, or what's in it for me? But who's really using it, 8 hours a day? Who's clocking in and out? Who's clicking the on my way buttons? Who's doing pricing on the field? Who's collecting payments? Think about the millions of other touch points and the other people involved in that process, and make sure you take a look at all that. And you mentioned the word value. And I think that's where Housecall Pro, really target that $0 to $10 million a year shop. That's where we sit in the value chain. We make it really affordable from a software perspective based on the value that we deliver, which is why we've done so well as a business. Because look, software is not cheap to build, but once it's built, the gross margins are great. And that's the part about software. And so you have to invest a lot of money up front to be able to build a subscription business. And the name of the game is, for us, if we know if we can make our customers successful, they'll stick around for a long time, because they're building amazing businesses that are growing on average 30% year over year. And with that kind of a growth, that's amazing. But you have to make sure that they continue using the software, it continues to deliver the value, and you're charging the right rates.
Well, you did that in the respect, and I don't know if you did it intentionally or because you were solving a problem, but we're your customer. And so you're like, we got to give them value. But where I think of it is that I'm like, how do I stay in contact with that customer? I literally had card files, and I pull them out and send a stamped thing. And now there's ways to email them at such a lower cost volume to email them or text them. That alone, and my technicians are like, this is cool. Like, people are saying, they're getting reminders. And so it really does matter. It is so freaking hard to hire somebody or convince somebody to crawl into a crawl space with water in it, or to fix the sewer pipe, or to. And the reality is that if you can make it easier for them, you actually have a genuine care for the customer and for the employee, that your businesses are going to run smoother. And I think you did that with Housecall. You were like, we're not just creating a SaaS program that somebody can buy and schedule their customers and manage their money. I don't know if I heard you did the service industry, but I don't know if you did it knowing that, hey, this is going to make it easier for the technician, which is going to make it easier to keep the technician, which is going to make it a better experience for the customer. And all of that stuff just ties together. And then you have a program, I think it's called Foundations or something, where you can actually get in there and train them. And one thing we had as we grew with Housecall is that the chat bubble just would piss me off. I'm like, they're not answering fast enough, but I knew it was growing.
Yeah.
But they always answered. They answered. It was like, and they implemented. I'm like, I would like to see X. And I'm like, it's there. They did it. I can't believe it. We actually have a say. And so more recently I became a Superpro because I was like, we should have a say. And this is really, that part is so cool to be able to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we built the businesses on our pro feedback. We call it pro votes, and all of our pros have a vote, and so we collect all of them across all the different channels, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's via the blue chat bubble, whether it's on an onboarding call or a sales call. They all kind of come in, and we have this massive document that's got all the pro votes of all the things. And now, back in the day, we didn't have AI, but we had a person that had to sift through them and like put them in the right stories and put them in the right place and track what's get asked most often, because we're not using the software day in, day out on the field. We're just busy building the software. And so we use the pro votes as a way to do better. And when you become a Housecall Pro Superpro too, you get invited to alphas and betas, and you can talk to the product managers that run a squad of engineers that are building those specific features that are being asked for. So you have a very active and direct role in being able to kind of shape the software in a way that works for your business. And we serve over 50 plus trades. And so there's a lot of different things for us to build. And the only way we can do that is making sure that we stay close with our customers and building to their needs based upon their pro votes. So, if we're able to build a product that can, go ahead.
Yeah. When you thought about the name Housecall Pro, like because I'm really about branding. So I did system clean in my 20s, and I was like, I want system to be the first. Like, the process is more important than the cleaning. And And then I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be a cleaner. I don't want to be a janitor. So I want to name it something cool, which did not play in my favor back then because you couldn't find my company because it
Yeah.
didn't say
It wasn't
A1
A1
clean.
clean.
Yeah. We weren't on the top of the feed or whatever, but clean now works. But I thought about Housecall Pro and I was like, the Housecall Pro part, yeah, that's the SaaS. But then you add Pro, and I was like, I wonder if they thought about that or if that was just an organic thing that happened and we're like, oh, the Pro is who we're serving, or there's like, oh, we're the pros of Housecall. I just wondered where that happened, and if it wasn't because
That's a good question.
trying to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, when we originally founded the company, it was a more of a marketplace, and it was meant to be like Uber for home services. And we clearly pivoted, but there was Housecall, which was the homeowner app, and there was Housecall Pro, which was the app for the pros. And so, kind of like if you think about Uber, there's a rider and a driver app. And so, back in the day, many years ago, 15 years ago now or so, we powered Girl Scouts to be able to sell their cookies via our app, and they would be able to deliver cookies, via the Housecall app, and they were able to accept credit card, which is one of the big problems that we saw. Is personally, when I go to the grocery store and they're out there, I never have back then, and maybe it still is today. It was like $5 a box. I never would have cash. I don't carry cash, and they didn't accept credit card. So I was like, how cool could it be if you could click a button and they could just show up at your doorstep with those samosas, and I'll just buy 10 boxes, $50 worth just on a credit card. But anyways, yeah, just the origin of the name. There was Housecall and Housecall Pro, and then in 2015, we pretty much just decided the marketplace, all that stuff doesn't work really well from a business perspective. There definitely was a need there. It was just too hard to make work, and so we focused 100% of our energy on Housecall Pro, and so that's all we built is just serving the pro. And the Housecall app, the consumer app, became kind of like an appendix. It kind of was there. No one really knew what it was for, and it didn't do any harm, but it didn't do any good. And then recently, we've completely sunset that app. But yeah, that's where Housecall Pro came from.
How is a Housecall generate? Like, I'm getting leads now. To be honest with you, I understand tech, and I own a haunted house, just east of us, about 2 hours. And it's the largest. It's called Albion Haunted Mansions, and we have to get like customers to come in there, and we do a lot of marketing, like hundreds of thousands of dollars of marketing. And I'm like, but now all of a sudden Housecall is showing up, and I'm like, hey, lead from Housecall. I'm like, how the freak is this happening? It's like organically, like, here's a lead. Would you like to do it? And I'm like, can you explain that? Because I'm curious. Like, I want to know where that's coming from. Is that my LSA that's attached to, or what is that? Yeah,
so inside of Housecall Pro, we have a product called Job Inbox. And Job Inbox, you can connect it to all kinds of different aggregators out there. One of the integrations that we have is with your Google Business Profile. So if you want to get the book online button on there, you can connect it. And that gives you this really special big blue CTA call to action that is really unique on the page. And then we also integrate with like Google LSA, for example. So if you spend $1 on LSA, I highly recommend it. It's probably one of the better aggregators out there to get leads in most areas. And so integrates with that, but then we also integrate with Yelp and with Angie's List and with Thumbtack and all these other places that you get inbound from. So it all shows up in your Housecall Pro account, which is really nice. So within Housecall Pro, we'll integrate with all the places where you can get leads from, whether they're organic or paid or whatever it happens to be. But it automatically will show in your Housecall Pro account, which is cool because speed to lead matters. People are looking for services. And so if you can get that contact, get that customer, follow up with it right away, so you don't have to like copy and paste, or like someone's taking a phone call, but it's not their job to put it into the CRM. And there's this whole process. So it just cleans up that whole flow. And so that's the Job Inbox piece, which can help you grow your business.
Yeah, it's been so freaking cool. And our office staff is like, you're going to take away our jobs. And I'm like, hey, listen, we're just going to keep growing. Your jobs are secure. Don't worry about it. But it's been cool for me because I'll be sitting there. I get a text because I'm still getting the notifications because I just like it. I'm just that way. And I'll fire back, oh, thanks for checking us out on Housecall. What can I tell you about the product? And literally, there it is again. These guys who can't stop, and business is my hobby. And so some guys are doing other stuff. I travel, I scuba dive, do some other stuff. too. But it's just some of the things that you guys are just coming up with and throwing out of the box. It's just like, gosh, this is freaking awesome. And it has changed the service industry. And I think you're like a pace setter, because I know there is a lawn care company out there that's developed an app, and he's a young kid, just absolutely running it. But I know I saw some of his reviews early on with Housecall Pro, 5 years ago. So he's the biggest form of flattery is when people start copying you. So I'm just like,
sure,
they've got some of these integrations, but they're so far ahead. And back to, hey, don't whine about it if there's some problems. It's like anything. Like, just go ahead and keep working with it. We had it took us literally 2.5 years to integrate Housecall Pro, because I was so freaking resistant. I was like, no, we're in the beta phase. And finally, my son, who's now doing the light waste removal, he's like, you either do it and just freaking do it, or I'm not going to even look at buying the business. So I backed off. He just dumped all the customers. We didn't blend them, but we just started taking them. And so we have, a 30-year-old business has just so many customers, and it's really messy.
So much history.
But now
so much history.
Yeah. So the information in is clean. And so we've just now started taking those customers, and our reports are cleaner, everything. It's just KPI. It's just so freaking cool. And so, congratulations.
That's awesome.
On it.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing it.
So it's great. There you go. I mean, look, I wasn't the first person to say you help someone else be successful, you can become successful, right? That's been I don't even know whose saying that is, but it's pretty common. And so whether it's your business offering it to homeowners, or us offering software to other service businesses, I'm super glad I got a chance to have you on the podcast here. What's one tip, Kent, that you would give yourself not 10 years ago, but like 20 years ago? So imagine Kent minus 20 years. You could travel back in time in the DeLorean. Some people may not understand that reference, but maybe you do, right? 20 years back, what would you tell young Kent?
It's actually kind of interesting, because I wouldn't have thought this, because I thought I wanted to be rich, and rich is so expansive to me now. It could be rich in your family time, and to gain your time back. That's so huge to me now, and to understand time. So time machine, that's you can see all the clocks in the background. So we're doing this whole foundation with teaching kids to understand the importance of labor and things like that. So I wanted to get away from work, to be honest with you. But now I love work. My grandfather would say, once work becomes play, you'll never work another day. And so it doesn't matter what you're doing. But if I could have thought it back then, is it's okay to work. It's okay to have pride in yourself, to be handy, to want to provide a service, to be okay with being you. Like, I never called myself a janitorial firm or a carpet cleaning business. I use these stupid terms. I'd say, oh, we're a environmental cleaning service, or an environmental indoor air quality service, where it's air duct cleaning. It's just like, freaking call it what it is. Find the customer that's looking for the service. They all want it, and be good with. You can make millions of dollars in janitorial. And so I have a kid that we mentored, and he was a little bit of he was just, he comes in, applies, walks outside. I look through the window, I see him, and he goes, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, what's going on? He walks back in, and he's like, I'm not going to pass. I'm a recreational user. And I'm like, okay, well, get in the backyard and let's go to work. And so we mentored him, and he went to school, did the whole school route. And I'm like, don't do the school route. Start a business. You're too damn smart to be going to school. And I did it, though. I went 11 years and didn't get a degree, believe it or not. I'm like, school, business. And so he finishes hospital administration. He's in his residency or whatever, and they need him to strip and wax. They need a floor strip and waxed in the lunchroom, and he couldn't get anybody to do it. Nobody knew how to do it, even with 300 janitorial staff, bed clean staff. And so he goes in there. He learned it from us. He does it in the middle of the night just because it needed to be done. He understood that service is important. And his director brings him in and basically says, hey, we're going to offer you the mentorship. You're going to be X. We're going to season you. So now he's making $300,000 a year as a hospital administrator.
Wow.
I'm like, how? And he goes, because did you realize that the most important part of a hospital is sanitization? And I'm like, what? And he's like, clean. They pull the sheets off, bacteria, washing the robot arms off, understanding all of that. He's over 300 people that make sure that sanitization and cleaning and all of that stuff to make sure that we don't get germs inside of our body is all part of the service industry. He understood indoor air quality, like not dropping little flakes into the wounds and everything. And so he was texting me last night, and he's a goofy bugger. He's as goofy like I am. And he's like, thanks for teaching me how to work and to love work and to recognize that, hey, there is a back entry into being exec. He's an executive. He wears the suit now. And so when they had all of those hurricanes come in, he's like, they're bringing in water in the water buffaloes, and the doctors get a shower and me, because I'm the one who's in charge of making sure that, because it was rationed water. I'm in charge of making sure that things are sanitary. And I was like, holy crap. And so it's
a fun story to tell. Yeah. That's so nice to be able to mentor. And I think, being able to do hard work, don't be afraid of it, call it what it is, be open and upfront about, because there's value and people recognize the value. I think it's easy to feel stigmatized or call it something super cool. So it's not exactly what you do, but sort of is, but sounds fancy. Just, be straight up. I love that advice. Kent, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you happen to be listening to the show and not using Housecall Pro, if you want to use it, go to housecallpro.com/podcast deal. If you don't want to go through that route and you just want to text me, I'm always available. Like Kent said, I text people at 858-215-1512. My advice is as an owner and a co-founder of a business is always stay in touch with your customers, no matter how large you grow. Feel free to text me. I'll get you to the right place. If you want to find Kent online or you want to be coached by Kent, you can join the Housecall Pro coaching program and go ask, hey, I want Kent to be my coach. He is available as well. Thank you for being on the podcast, Kent. I super appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Superpro podcast. Thank you, Kent.
Awesome. Roland, you're awesome.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.